All right, class. We're just going to go over the syllabus really quick. This is English 1102, which is literature and composition, very similar to your English 1101, which was composition and rhetoric. The main difference is that we'll be doing more reading and analysis in this class. We're going to be reading literature, we're going to be analyzing literature, and we're going to be writing analytical essays about said literature. So it is a bit different, but it's very similar course. Um, if you would like to contact me or know my information, here it is. Brian Murphy is my name. Brian.murphy@wescatech.edu is my email, and that is what you should use to contact me. The office number that I'm currently residing in is on Carroll campus. It's 207R. You can call me by phone, but I prefer that you use my email, as it says preferred method of contact here. That's also the official method of contact for your professors. So please use the email first, and if the email doesn't work out, you can try the phone number, or if you want to try to pop by my office at some point in time, the only thing I ask is that you not use Blackboard messaging system. Let's see. For learner supplies, you really don't need anything unusual, other than your general, flash drive, that kind of stuff. There is no textbook that is required for purchase, which is good. So you're pretty much good to go if you have a working computer. Um, these are my course specific or my instructor specific policies. So we do have to go over this. First one is I have a zero tolerance for plagiarism and academic misconduct. If you are caught representing any outside material whatsoever as your own work, you will receive a 0 on the assignment, whether that comes from a website or you have another student write it for you or you collaborate excessively. Hopefully you learned pretty clearly what plagiarism is and how to avoid it in 1101. However, there is one change that I have made recently, and that is if you use AI, so Chat GPT or something similar, to generate content for your essays, even if it is cited, using AI to generate content is a big no-no in this class. And if anyone does it, they will receive an automatic F in the course. That is my new policy as of this semester, and it's one that I intend to enforce. So please resist the temptation because I'm very good at detecting AI, and I don't really want to have to fail you. Preferred communication. So please use email to contact me. I do not check Blackboard messaging system very often, maybe a couple of times a semester. So if you've been sending me Blackboard messages, that's probably why I'm not getting them. Send me an email. You should set up your email account. Go ahead and get Microsoft Outlook set up. And if you would like to download the app on your phone, it can be useful because you can set up the email notifications. And that way, whenever I send out an announcement in Blackboard, I just click that little box that also sends the email and you get your announcements straight to your phone. It's very great. When you communicate with me via email, please make sure that you use email etiquette, that you address me as Sir or Professor Murphy or whatever. It's my job. Part of my job is to teach you how to communicate formally. So if you're sending me messages like, hey, where's the box? Or, hey, Brian, that's my favorite one. Hey, Brian. Yes, it's true. My name is Brian, but we're not on a first name basis, right? You're my lovely students, and that's wonderful, but you don't know me that well, and it's informal to speak to someone in a professional circumstance that way. So please try to be mindful of the etiquette, say hello, say goodbye, that kind of thing. The Dropbox policy. So I only grade essays that go through the Dropbox. Sometimes there are issues with technology and compatibility. So if you're having a hard time submitting your essay, you can send me the essay as proof of timely submission. But until the essay is put in the Dropbox, it will not be graded. You have to resolve those problems and any other technological problems that arise with IT by opening up a help desk ticket through the West Georgia Tech website. I have very little control over the technological end of things. The only thing I have control over really on my end is access to certain assignments and that sort of thing, access to materials. I can affect that. I really cannot deal with your Blackboard. If you're having issues with submission, there's nothing I can do. There's no magical switch I can toggle to fix any of that. So please use the Dropbox and be aware that there are sometimes issues and that those issues are your responsibility to clear up. And if the essay doesn't go in the Dropbox, it doesn't get graded because I've had students try to use technological errors as a way to bypass the plagiarism check. Also, my advice to you would be go ahead and use your school login to get access to Microsoft Word for free, which is nice that you have that while you're here. You also have Outlook and Excel and PowerPoint and all that fun stuff. But when you write your essays, you should write those essays in Microsoft Word. If you don't have Word on your computer, you can write it using your login through the link in the syllabus. And That will allow you to avoid some of the conversion glitches that happen sometimes when students say, for example, they use Google Docs to write their essay, and then when they save it as a Word file, they find that things get moved around and weird stuff happens. So if you write things in Word and you submit them in Word, I find that generally speaking, that does minimize the number of those issues that arise, although it may not completely eliminate them. Grammarly. So the issue often arises with students, can we use Grammarly? And the answer to that is a reluctant yes with a bunch of caveats. So here is the thing. If you over rely on Grammarly, it's technically a form of academic misconduct if you over rely on it. If you allow the machine to impress upon your essay to such an extent that it, for example, is flagged for an AI paper, which sometimes happen, that is an indication to me that some form of academic misconduct has occurred. So if you use Grammarly, please make sure that you use it in a very minimal way. A couple of things here and there is fine. Over relying on it to the point where it flags for an AI detection is not fine. And you should be aware that I will not make a distinction. If you use Grammarly and you get a false positive for AI, I'm not going to make a distinction between that and someone that used ChatGPT because I can't. How do I know what happened? I really don't. So if you use Grammarly, use it very sparingly. My advice to you is maybe get out of the habit of using it for the semester just so you don't run the risk of complicating your life. The feedback policy. If you send me a document for general feedback before the due date, I can get it turned around to you. But I'm not going to go through and correct everything. I'm not going to take a red tip pen and fix all the issues for you. Rather, I will give you general feedback that you can use to improve your essay. It's really the same stuff I would say to you if you came by my office. However, if you're going to send it to me by email, which I assume many of you will because you are online students, then you need to do so in a timely manner. If you send it to me a couple of days before the essay is due, I am probably not going to have time to get it turned around. But if you come by my office, of course, I'll see you even like the day before an essay and give you some feedback if you just want me to read over it. My office hours are from 1:30 to 3:30 on Monday through Thursday this summer, but I also am very flexible if you need to meet me at some other time. Also, if you'd like to meet by WebEx, which is embedded in Blackboard, we can do that as well if it saves you a trip. But if you want feedback, you got to do it in a timely manner, and I'm not going to fix every problem. I'm just going to give you general feedback, and then you have to use my advice to fix your essay. The next thing is the student accountability policy. This means you are responsible for your work and your assignments. If I forget to send out the due dates, which I usually do not, but if I do, let's say something happens on Monday and I forget to send out an announcement reminding you of what's due, that doesn't mean that the assignments are all of a sudden magically not due anymore. You are an adult, you're capable of managing your own business. That's why you're here. So if you see on the syllabus that it's due, do it anyway, even if I didn't give you an announcement, because there's nothing about me forgetting that lets you off the hook. The assignments are there, the due dates are there, it's all accessible. So you should keep on top of your schoolwork. My advice to you is to check the syllabus every Sunday because most assignments are due on Sunday night with a few exceptions. So checking on Sunday will let you know what's coming up and help you avoid missing anything. Dual enrollment, if you're a dual enrollment student, you're not going to be treated any differently than anybody else in this class. There's nothing about you being a high school student that means that you get special treatment or extra time or that I should consider your very difficult life because most people are in the same boat as you in terms of difficulty, if not even worse, because they've actually moved on into the real adult world. But also, your parents signed a form that said that you were mature enough to handle the adult environment that college implies. And so that is the standard I'm going to hold you to. Competitive selection. If you are in competitive selection, there is nothing about you needing an A or having to get an A that means I have to give you one. I do give A's to students who earn them, who deserve them. So if you want to be one of those students, my advice to you is to work very hard and get an A. What will happen is I will have students, because competitive selection is very competitive, I will have students that will take my class or someone else's class, get a B, and then take the same class again because they have to get an A. And for some reason, I have noticed that there tends to be an air of entitlement that comes up where I've already taken this class once before. I've done all the work. I'm going to take it again, and I deserve to get an A. You should give me an A. Well, if you want one, earn one, right? I have to put that because each one of these syllabus clauses represents an incident with a student that's happened that made me think, you know what, I'm going to write something down in my syllabus. So if it seems absurd, just know that it's based on something that's already happened. All right, recycling work from other classes. If you have taken this class before, or if you've read some of the texts that we have read, or if you've done any of this stuff before and you are thinking about recycling work from previous classes or previous assignments, do not do it. That counts as academic misconduct. It is the same penalty as plagiarism, which means it's 0 in the assignment. You may say, well, how can I plagiarize myself? Basically, by doing that, you're trying to take the easy way out and to skip the hurdle, so to speak. So it's something you want to think about. Don't recycle any work. Resist the temptation. Computer use during lectures doesn't apply to you guys because you're online. We do have some issues with Chromebooks and Macs. That's not universally true, but I've noticed that the compatibility issues on Blackboard are centered around certain devices like Chromebooks in particular, but also Macs on occasion. And I've also noticed that the web browser that you use has a big effect on whether or not Blackboard is going to be happy or not. Mozilla Firefox or Google Chrome are the ideal web browsers. And if you rely on a MacBook or a Mac or a Chromebook or something like that, you may want to consider an alternative to that. You know, if Uncle Jerry has a PC in the attic, maybe you want to use that to do your schoolwork, provided it's reliable. You do need reliable internet for this class, so you might want to lock down a reliable device as well. Content advisory. So we are going to be reading a lot of stuff. I always ask my students when they complain about, a lot of people complain about the stuff I assign being kind of dark. And so what I will say is, can you tell me, based on your experience in literature class, can you give me a single example of a canonical work of literature that is innately uplifting? And usually there's crickets, as people struggle to think of all the things they've read that didn't involve, even if they have a happy ending, you know, a lot of times there's still terrible suffering and you know, other aspects of the human condition that might be negative. And the reason this is because if we wrote a story that was, you know, oh, I had a couple of problems, but I solved it and it's all good, that's not an interesting story to read. The uplifting stuff tends to not interest people as much because it's not real, right? It feels almost surreal. It feels almost fake, right? It's artificial. So the reason I say this is because you may be reading something and think that it's dark, or maybe you don't like the subject matter, or maybe it bothers you, it challenges you for whatever reason. If you feel that way, I welcome you to voice your concerns in class or to me or on the discussion boards or wherever you see fit. I am a big free speech advocate. I like for people to express their opinions in that way. However, please be advised that I will not excuse any student from reading something on the basis that they don't like it or they don't agree with it or whatever. Any reason you have. If you want to read something else, tough, right? You can say whatever you want, you can express yourself thoroughly, but I will not assign any new material or dismiss assignments on the basis of any kind of objection, moral, personal, or otherwise. So it's there in writing. You got to read what I've assigned, and there's no exceptions. Disruptive behavior, you're online, people. Just be nice to me in emails, and we should be fine. Plans for an online shift? Well, we are online, so there's no reason for that. Course materials in Blackboard, please go by the syllabus. The syllabus and the schedule. If you see an assignment in the due dates or something and it's not accounted for on the syllabus, you're not going to be held accountable for it. I have put all of the assignments on the syllabus and all the due dates on the syllabus, and that's what we're doing. If you see something else, it's probably because it was left over from the cleanup and I didn't see it. I think I've been through several times. I think I've gotten everything this semester, but I always make a few changes that require me to go in and edit a bunch of stuff. And sometimes things slip through the cracks. So if you see something and you're wondering what it is because you don't see it on the syllabus, notify me first and foremost. But also, it's probably not due, right? Because what is due is on the syllabus. And the syllabus schedule, which is at the end here. We'll go over it. Let's see, attendance policy. You should log in once a week, at least, right? That's the attendance policy, basically. If you miss something because you haven't been attending, I mean, it's online class, so it's asynchronous. You'll be doing this at your own pace anyway as long as you stick to the due dates. But I recommend that you log in frequently because it's very easy for things to get away from you. The late work policy. So I only accept major writing assignments late for a daily penalty of 5 points, but I also, I do not accept quizzes, discussions, or other assignments unless you have a credible excuse for missing them. This means, you had a doctor's emergency, a medical emergency, a death in the family, your sister's graduation. These kinds of things are major life events or emergencies that I am willing to work with you on, provided that you communicate with me effectively. However, things that don't count as excused absences are things like work, car trouble, right? The general excuses, I don't feel so good this morning. I'm going to ask you for some kind of verification. Now, based on a student-to-student basis, what kind of verification will suffice is between you and me. But you will need to verify your illness in the event that you have one. Otherwise, you are expected to keep up with all your work and not miss any of the dates. If there is a reason that you are going to miss dates, you need to contact me in advance so we can talk about it. And that way I know what's going on and we can see if it's excused or not and whether or not you should continue the course that you're on. Pop quizzes, I reserve the right to give them for any reason without much warning. I don't usually, but I reserve the right. Late to class, not applicable because you're online. Technical difficulties, anything that isn't related to the access of assignments and materials in Blackboard, I have no control over. Therefore, it is your responsibility to resolve any technical issues you may be having with IT, meaning go to the West Georgia Tech website, open up a help desk ticket, take the 48 hours or whatever it takes for them to get back to you, and then fix the problem once you have information from them. I have no control over your Blackboard login or everything. Now, that said, there is something called the Blackboard or the Okta dashboard timeout error, which is if I had to wager 80% of the login issues come from the Okta timeout error, another 10% or 15% come from the password changes that happen periodically without warning throughout the semester. And the remaining percentage is stuff that's just over my head that you're going to have to talk to IT about. So when you go to log into your dashboard, you'll see this thing that says My Apps Dashboard, and it's got your link to Blackboard, your link to Office 365 and Outlook and Banner Web and other stuff like that. And you see the little squares and you click on that. And that's how you get into Blackboard. If you leave that open for, I think it's more than an hour, it will log you out and then you will not be able to log into Blackboard. And you'll be very confused. You'll be getting an error message and wonder why is this happening? So if that happens, go to the apps dashboard, go to the top right corner and log out manually. And if you do that, that is going to keep you from not being able to log into Blackboard. That takes care of most of it. Now, if it's not that and it's not the password, I can't help you. You'll have to talk to IT. AI writing software. So I assume it's 2024. You're all hip and with it. You know what ChatGPT is. You know what AI is. You know the temptation to go in and type in the prompt and get the computer to do your work for you. I can tell if a paper was written by AI in about 20 seconds. I am actually very proud of my ability to do this. It's not difficult because the AI is only good at mimicking human beings. It's not good at actually doing what the assignment is asking you to do. So I can read it and go, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. And usually my suspicions are both correct and affirmable in a very short period of time. So basically the way that I check for it is first I do a writing diagnostic assignment where you give me a writing sample and I use that as like a database for this is what the student sounded like at the start of the semester. I do, of course, make accounts for possible improvements that may occur, but that writing sample serves as a standard to see if the writing that you're generating matches it. If you start giving me stuff that is way more advanced, at least in the way it sounds, but the content isn't so great, usually that's a key that you're using some kind of cheating method, and AI is a likely suspicion. So between the writing sample and the corroboration, follow-up meetings with students, and AI detection services, I build a case against students that I suspect of using AI. And if I level the accusation at you, it is usually because I have the receipts and I'm confident that they will hold up. So if you use AI, I will give you an F in the course, period. That's the rule. If you use it, I don't care what the circumstances were. I didn't know this and that. If you use it for any other purpose, any unethical purpose, you will get an F in this course. And I have listed here exactly how I'm going to go about detecting it, so you know from day one the way that it goes. Writing sample, not in addition to the diagnostic sample, which I take at the start of the semester, I reserve the right to ask you for an additional writing sample for any reason at any time, without a grade, and you have to give it to me, right? And you may be asked to do so under controlled conditions. which means you may be asked to come in or whatever. I've never done this yet because most of the students that I've accused of AI have just been like, yeah, you got me. But in the event that I have to do this, I ask that you do it without complaint and that you realize that this is what we have to do to maintain the integrity of our institution. It is easier to cheat now than it has ever been. So your cooperation in that regard is very much appreciated. The Respondus browser. We are going to be using the Respondus browser for one of the assignments. It's one of the theater quizzes. I think it's the one over Dr. Faustus. That has not been set up yet. I will get an email from IT regarding when that process is supposed to begin. So please don't do that assignment until you get that information from me, because that can create a lot of problems if I have to go back and retroactively get a student to take that. But the Respondus browser requires you to have a webcam on your laptop and that watches you and makes sure that you're not like clicking on other stuff and consulting materials and stuff and trying to cheat on the test, basically. So we are going to do that. So please be aware of that. I will send out the instructions as soon as I have them. The last one is the grade rounding policy. I don't round grades more than a point. It has to be under a point for me to round it. I've had a student ask me to round her grade 3.5 points one time, which is just like so crazy. Nobody would ever do that. And I don't know why I even have to put this in my syllabus, but you pretty much get the grade you get in the class, right? If you get close, I'll give it to you. But other than that, you're going to get whatever grade you get. And so if you want the A, you really want to make sure that you work for the A, right? I'm not going to round your B to an A because I feel sorry for you. Okay. Okay, so participation, you are supposed to participate, so do that. This is just general legalese. The categories, so 60% is writing assignments. There are 3 major writing assignments over the course of the semester. They are 20% each. That is a big chunk of change, so don't get a 0 on one of those because that would be a problem. The test and pre-writing is another 20%. That's going to be your quizzes and stuff over the different units. The only exception is I don't do reading quizzes for the test and pre-writing. I just do the standard quizzes plus the essay outlines. Those count as pre-writing. So that's going to be 20%. And then the other 20% is learning activities, and that's going to be discussion boards, of which there are 8, and reading quizzes, which will be given throughout the semester. So between that is that's what makes your final average, and you have to get a C or higher to proceed. C is defined as a 70 through 79. So please be aware of that. We also have tutoring and library resources available to you that are here. There's some information about withdrawals, which you may want to do to protect your GPA. Although I will say that sometimes students who are receiving financial aid don't withdraw, because if they do, they'll have to pay back the financial aid if they drop below a certain course load. So please be advised that withdrawal is not a solution for everyone, but if you get near the end of the semester, and the date is very late, I want to say it's in July sometime. If you get late in the semester and you're just bombing the class and you don't want to take the hit on your GPA, you can withdraw, and the W will be on your transcript, but it doesn't count against your GPA the way an F would. So it may be a preferable situation. Depends on your specific circumstance. Okay, so there's some stuff about ethical AI use. The only time you can use AI is like you can ask it, hey, I'm doing an essay on X and Y. Can you give me some search terms that will help me on Galileo to do some research? Yeah, sure, I'll do that, says the AI, and then it gives you the list of terms. That's okay if you're using it like to help you study and stuff, but if you generate material and then use the generated material as part of your assignment, that's where you get the F, okay? So don't do it. All right, here's the course schedule, and I'm sorry that I'm rushing this, but because I had problems with the other with WebEx recording these, there was a huge delay in when they would be available. I'm trying to use Zoom, and they only give you 40 minutes on the free version. So if it seems rushed, that's why. You can go back over this stuff on your own, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So we are going to begin with the fiction. We're gonna do Edgar Allan Poe first. We're gonna read so you're gonna watch the intro to Edgar Allan Poe lecture, the video lecture, which I've recorded. These are lectures by yours truly. You're also gonna watch the lecture on his short stories, which is in there. Then the lecture video on how to write about literature and the essay prompt for Edgar Allan Poe video. So those are all available. You should already be reading the short stories that are listed here. That is The Cask of Amontillado, Fall of the House of Usher, The Mask of the Red Death, The Pitch and the Pendulum, and The Telltale Heart. You're also going to want to read the lecture notes to help you with the quizzes this weekend. That's going to be how to read fiction, structure and plot, and point of view. And do for homework this Sunday, we have discussion 1 over Poe's short stories, the reading quiz over Edgar Allan Poe, the how to read fiction quiz, the structure and plot quiz, and the point of view quiz. All of these are due June 2nd at 11:59. Reading for next week, we're going to start V for Vendetta, which you may know the film. Some of you know the film, I'm sure. We're going to be reading a graphic novel, which is called V for Vendetta, which the film is based on. I'm not huge on graphic novels, but I really like this one, and I think it's a very profound text for a lot of different reasons. And I'm interested to hear through your discussion boards and such what you think about it. So read V for Vendetta volumes 1 through 5 as a graphic novel, which is a fancy way of saying comic book. It does tend to flow a little bit faster than other types of literature. So there's that. Also, you're going to want to review the lecture notes on character setting, style and tone, theme, and symbols, because those quizzes will be due next weekend. Next week, you're going to watch the lecture video on the intro to V for Vendetta, as well as the lecture video on volumes 1 through 3 and 4 and 5. And then you're going to watch the video on the essay prompt, where I explain the essay prompt to you. You will have an option of writing on either Edgar Allan Poe or V for Vendetta. So you will watch those videos. The writing diagnostic assignment, which is really just a kind of a throwaway assignment. If you do it, you're going to get 100 on it. If you don't, you're not. And that's going to be due on June 5th, which is Wednesday. And then on Sunday, June 9th, you have the reading quiz for V for Vendetta volumes 1 through 5. Then you have the character quiz, the setting quiz, the style and tone quiz, the theme quiz, the symbols quiz, and discussion 2. Now, you may be overwhelmed. That seems like a lot of work, but this is the catch-22 of summer semester. It is 8 weeks' time for 16 weeks of work. So this is just the way it is, folks. I can't trim it because then it isn't fair, right? Then next week, you're going to do volume 6 for 10 of V for Vendetta. Watch the lecture videos corresponding with those, and then watch the video explaining the essay outline. And then for homework, the outline for essay 1 is going to be due on June 12th, which is a Wednesday. Some things are due on Wednesday. The rest of the things are generally due on Sunday. And then Sunday, you're going to do the reading quiz for volumes 9 through 10, V for Vendetta, as well as the third discussion. And the first essay is due at the end of week 3. That's not a very long time from now. So writing assignment 1 will be due then. You may want to go ahead and decide what you're going to write on and try to get a jump if you need to. For the next week, we're going to read Christopher Marlowe's The Tragic History of Dr. Faustus. But the problem is it was written in the Renaissance and it's a little bit difficult to read. So if you find yourself struggling, remember, I do go over it line by line in my lecture video, so don't sweat it so much. The quiz will be available for you after you watch the video, after you read the play. So it's not going to be like I'm trying to blindside you with all this archaic language, right? I will explain it to you in the video, and then you can take the quiz. So also do how to read a play in comedy and tragedy in the lecture notes. Then for week 4, watch the video Intro to Drama and Theater, Intro to Faustus in Part 1, Faustus Part 2, and then the Faustus essay prompt. Then due for homework is going to be how to read a play quiz, comedy and tragedy quiz, and then the Tragical History of Dr. Faustus quiz, which is going to be the Respondus test. So I will have that set up by then, and you're going to need to do that proctored either on a computer, or if you don't have a computer with a webcam, you're going to have to come in and do it in the library. Discussion 4 on Dr. Faustus is due that weekend as well. And then the following weekend, we're going to do Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare. You watch the corresponding videos, you do the discussion and the reading quiz. And then the next week, we'll start the poetry unit, but we'll be finishing the essay for drama. So you'll do the outline for the essay, then how to read a poem, the rhyme and rhythm meter quiz, and how to read poetry quiz. And then on the 7th of July, the writing assignment 2 is due. That's going to be the writing assignment over drama. And then for the next week, you're going to read all the poems in the poetry packet by William Blake, as well as Samuel Taylor Coleridge's The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which I have memorized as a flex. I don't usually brag, but I will on that one. When you read that incredibly long poem, you'll be like, wow, does he really have it memorized? Pretty much. I'm only missing a few sparse pieces. So also read the lecture notes on poetic form, on imagery and literary devices. You're going to come back, you're going to watch the Intro to Poetry in the Romantic Genre. You're going to watch the lecture video on William Blake and the Rime of the Ancient Mariner and the Essay 3 assignment sheet. Then that weekend, you're going to do the quizzes over William Blake and the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, as well as the quiz over poetic forms, imagery, literary devices. And then you're also going to do the 7th discussion. Okay, then we're going to do Goblin Market the next week in the poetry of Edgar Allan Poe. Goblin Market quiz and Poe poetry quiz are due on that weekend, as well as the final discussion and the final essay outline. And then the final essay is due on the 24th, which is Wednesday of week 9, which is July 21 through 24. And then after that, you're done with my class. So If you have any questions about where things are located, I try to make it really easy and kind of just put it in just a few folders instead of doing the 15,000 lesson folders and stuff. But if you have any questions, let me know, and I'm happy to answer those for you. Again, sorry to kind of rush through this, but I'm confined by the time restraints. So have a lovely weekend and all that stuff, and enjoy the semester. Please stay on pace. Summer is crazy. It's crazy for you. It's crazy for me. Help us get through the crazy by staying on top of your work. Don't let anything slip through the cracks because the policy is what it is, and it's going to stay that way. So have an excellent weekend, and let me know if you have any questions. That's brian.murphy, Brian with a Y, at wescatech.edu.